Tov. Today's Daf Yomi is Nazir Daf Vav, Nazir 6. We're going to start on Hey Amabay, 3 lines from the bottom where the Gemara is discussing if a person says, I'll be a Nazir, and they don't specify how many days, do we say, how long is a Nazirite for? Stam Nazirus. So the Mishnah had said that Stam Nazirus is 30 days. The Mishnah said a basic Nazir is 30 days. But our Gemara is saying that there's actually a dispute about that between Rav Masna and Bar Pada. Rav Masna says that it's 30 days based upon the fact that the numerical value of the word yeh and you shall be holy, kadosh yeh, the Nazarite will be holy, is 30. That's the gematria. Whereas Bar Pada says it's based upon the fact that the word Nazir appears 29 times in the Bible, and so therefore Nazir is 29 days. The Stam Nazir is 29 days, not 30. So on the bottom of Hayam Abayz, the Gemara says, let's try and bring a proof for Rav Masna against Bar Pada, who said, Bar Pada says it's 29 days. Misha Nazir based in the zeros, somebody who learned in the Mishnah on 16a, if somebody makes a vow to be a Nazirite for 2 consecutive terms, and you cut your hair in the first one on day 31. And you cut your second one on day 61. So the Gemara says this makes sense according to Rav Masna, Bishlam or Rav Masna Nicha. It makes sense according to Rav Masna because he says that Nazirus is 30 days. So after you observe your Nazirus for 30 days, then on day 31 you can cut your hair after you bring your sacrifices. Top of 6a, Ella Bar Pada, but according to Bar Pada, who says that the Nazirus is 29 days, it's difficult. Why do you have to wait till day 31 to cut your hair? You should be able to cut it on day 30. We're on the top of 6a. So Bar Pada says, before you start hacking me and telling me everything that's wrong with my theory, look at the next line in the Mishnah. Ema Seifa, what's the next clause in the Mishnah say? That if you did end up cutting the first hair on day 30, you could cut the second one on day 60, which proves that it's 29 days, like I said. So we say, okay, fine, Seifa Misayeh. The second clause is indeed helping Rav Bar Pada, but Reisha. So how does he do with the first clause? So Gemara says the Reisha is Ba'omer Shloshim. The first clause will have to say. Then in the first clause, it says, we view the Nazirite as though he said, it's a circumstance where he said, I'm going to keep the Nazirus for 30 complete days, or else the rabbis are being strict upon him, and it's maybe just talking rabbinically, we view him as though he has to keep 30 complete days. So that's why, really, biblically, you only have to do 29 days, and the first clause is talking about rabbinically. So the Gemara says, but we still cut. So the Gemara says, or Masna, according to Masna, says that the Nazirus is 30 days. How can you cut your hair on day 30? So, which is what the concluding clause of the Mishnah tells us. So, Masna, Kedekatani Seifa. So, Masna would say, like the next line states, Yom Shloshim Olakan. That day 30 is actually, once we've done a portion of the day, it's as though you've kept the whole day, and we count it as day 30 of the first Nazirus, and also it's able to go in both directions. So this is also, you have to explain your theories. It's able to be day 1 of the next counting. So we have 2 concepts here. First concept is that the concept of Mikta Sayom Kikuo that we have to understand. That Rav Masna is saying that the author of this Mishnah says once you've done a portion of the day, Mikta Sayom, it's as though you've done the whole day and it's able to count. And then once we say that, we say that in 2 directions. So it's counting since you've done. So this is really an impossibility. How could day 30 really be 2 separate days? So we say that it's the last day of the first Nazirus, and it's also the first day. Once the last Nazirus ends, it immediately turns and counts as the first day of the next Nazirus. So we're saying that these 2 concepts. First of all, this one day is actually counting twice. Because technically speaking, the second Nazirus can't start until the first Nazirus ends. So if the first Nazirus ends on a Tuesday, you would think that a whole Tuesday is blocked out for the first Nazirus. But we're saying, no, once it ends, because we say it's a portion of the day, it's like the whole day, automatically we shift and we're saying the second Nazirus also can start on that same Tuesday, which is, let's say, day 30. So that's the chiddush of what he's saying. The Gemara asked that question. Well, why do we need him to tell us? Mai is his chiddush here makes this Hayom Kekuo Amar Chadazim. Didn't we already say this idea of Mixus Hayom Kekuo on the previous page? Why is it saying it again? The Gemara says, no, you might have thought, you might have thought you only say Mixus Hayom Kekuo as relates to one Nazir term. But here the chiddush is of all statements here so. But here the chiddush is you might not have said it as it applies to two terms that it counts as day 30 and also day 1. Kamash 1, that's what we count. So the Gemara says, okay, now we're going to try and bring another proof against Bar Pada. Again, Bar Pada says that the Nazirus as a baseline is 29 days. Says the Mishnah, Im Giuach Yom Shishim Chaser Echad Yatzeh. If you shave your hair, if you cut your hair on day 60 minus 1, which i.e. day 59, you fulfill your obligation. Because day 30 is able to count as day 1 towards the second term. So the Gemara says, from the fact that it says that day 30 is able to count as day 1 towards the second term, we see from here that you need 30 days. That works well according to our Masna. Ela Bar Pada, Lamale, Bar Pada, he only requires 29 days. So how could Bar Pada deal with this source, which says that day 30 is seemingly the requirement? So my brother would say, no, I also rely upon this source. Why? Because I'm saying the main Nazirus is 29 days. Can you pass me a tissue, please? And so since he says the main Nazirus is 29 days, therefore, since the main Nazirus is 29 days, you go through 29 days, you cut your hair on day 30, and then you count from that day 29 days till day 59. That's my chiddush, and works out well according to Bar Pada, actually. So the Gemara says, okay, we're still trying to bring a proof against Bar Pada. So let's try and bring a proof against Bar Pada from another Mishnah, also on 16a. So the Mishnah says, Tanan Misha Amar Hareini Nazir. Somebody says, I'm a Nazirite, Nitma Yom Shloshim. Then on day 30, he becomes Tameh. So somebody says, I'm a Nazirite, and then on day 30 becomes Tameh. So Sarasakol. He ruins all of his counting until now, and he has to start over. Because he came in contact with a dead body on day 30, he has to start all over, and he has to start his count again. Now, this makes sense according to Ramasna, because on day 30, Ramasna would say, that's the day that you have to bring your sacrifices and cut your hair. So if you became Tameh before you, it means that because Ramasna was saying that on day 30, that you have to bring your sacrifices on day 31 or after you count day 30. So therefore, it makes sense according to Ramasna that if you messed up on day 30, since you're supposed to bring your sacrifices on day 31 and your haircut on day 31, therefore you messed up on day 30. But according to Bar Pada, he's saying that the 29 days are your Nazirus. Once 29 days are over, you can bring your sacrifices and get a haircut. So therefore, why have you messed everything up? Well, Bar Pada, it's a kasha. It's difficult. This source is difficult according to Bar Pada. The Gemara says, Arocha Bar Pada, Ema Seifa. That Bar Pada says, I'll prove to you that I'm correct, that this Mishnah is not a problem for me. Because look at the next line in the Mishnah. We're on top of 6b. What does the next line in the Mishnah state? The next line in the Mishnah states, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Eino Soser El Shiva. That in the case where he became Tameh on day 30th, Rabbi Eliezer says, actually, all you have to do is wait 7 days. Why? Every time anybody comes in contact with a dead body, you're supposed to wait 7 days. And after 7th day, you have the ashes of the red heifer sprinkled upon you on day 3 and 7, and then you bring your sacrifice, and then you immerse in the mikvah, and then you can bring your sacrifices for being a Nazirite. So we see from here Now we see from here that you don't require 30 days. If you would require the complete 30 days, like Rav Mazda is saying, everything should be ruined. From the fact that Rabbi Elazar says you only need 7 days, we see that you only need 29 days. Yeah, what's your question?
That's not quite the point from the footnote, which helps clarify this in my mind. The reason Rabbi Eliezer says you wait 7 days has nothing to do with the term of the.
It's because you came in contact with a dead body.
Because you have to wait 7 days to bring a sacrifice.
Exactly. So he has to always have to wait 7 because you can't go to the temple if you're ritually impure. And so therefore, Rabbi Eliezer is saying that has nothing to do with being a Nazirite. But Nazirite, and that's why Rabbi Eliezer is saying that on day 30, you're finished your Nazirus. So if that's the case, this proves Bar Pada says that I'm correct and you're incorrect, because on day 30 you really could bring the sacrifice, except for the fact that you became tamei from a dead body. But it's a question on Rav Mazda, because Rav Mazda says day 30 is actually you're not ready yet to bring your sacrifices. So why does Rabbi Eliezer seem to say that you would be ready if you had not incidentally became tamei? Gemara says no. Even according to Rav Mazda, you would say the same answer we've said several times by now. Because some of Rabbi Eliezer mixes Hayom Kikul. That once Rabbi Eliezer says a portion of day is like the whole day. Once you've done a portion of day 30, actually you're ready to bring your sacrifices and you're cut your hair. And so therefore, once you're ready to bring your sacrifice and cut your hair, even though you actually haven't done it, then you don't ruin your Nazirus account. So now the Gemara challenges both these approaches, both Rav Mazda and Rav Pada, from a statement of Rabbi Eliezer from a Mishnah on 16b, because we went to the Mishnah there, it states, Harein Nazir Mea Yom, if a person says, I'll be a Nazirite for 100 days, Nitma Yom Mea Soser Asakol, that if he becomes Tamei from a dead body, on day 100, he messes up everything, and he needs to go back and count his 100 days again. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Eno Soser El Shloshim Yom. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, he only messes up 30 days. So what's the reasoning why we say under that Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer only messes up 30 days? If you're going to say, like Rav Masna explained just now, the Rabbi Eliezer says that portion of the day is like the whole day. If it comes Tamei on day 100, he should really only have to wait 7 days. Then Nistor Shiva, he should wait 7 days. And if you don't say portion of the day is like the whole day, well, if he comes to 100 and he becomes Tamei, he should have to wait. He should have to count another 100 days. Why do we say he only has to count 30 days? So it doesn't work both according to Masna or according to Bar Pada. Gemara says no. So we say actually Rabbi Eliezer does not say. Just give me 1 minute, George. We'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, wait, George. What's your question?
Is there a minimum of 30 days to be a Nazirite? I was wondering if that's the reason.
So we'll see what he's going to say, but we have already said that that's exactly the dispute that goes to the core of the dispute that we're discussing. Now, Masna says the minimum is 30 days, and Bar Pada says it's 29 days. So now we're trying to prove who's correct. So they had explained the previous case, according to Masna, was that Rabbi Eliezer says the portion of the day is like the whole day. But now we have this other source from Rabbi Eliezer where he says that if you become Nazirite on day 100, that you have to wait 30 days. So if the portion of the day is the whole day, he should have to only wait 7 days according to Rabbi Eliezer. And if not, portion of the day is not the whole day, he should have to wait 100 days. So what's the explanation? So let's see what they say. So Gemara says, no, Rabbi Eliezer is of the position. Rabbi Eliezer says we don't say a portion of the day is the whole day. Well, if that's the case, so then why doesn't he have to wait a whole nother 100 days? So Reish Lakish says that the explanation is similar to what George was saying. This is the basis for Rabbi Eliezer. What's the reason why Rabbi Eliezer says under this case you have to wait 30 days? This is the law of the Nazirite on the day he completes his Nazirus, that you bring him to the Ol Moed. The Torah says, the Torah Amra, Nitma biyom Los. If he became Tamei, it's a special law. If he became Tamei on the day of his Nazirus, on the last day, Tain lo Torah's Nazir. You have to give him to go back and count, not the full count, but just minimum Nazirus, which is 30 days. And so therefore, even if his Nazirus was 100 days, if he became coming on the last day, he only has to go back and count to 30 days. So that's what they would say. This source does not say that Rabbi Eliezer is of the position Mikzas Yom Kippur, which seems to say a difficulty for Rav Masna, because how would Rav Masna explain it? Because the only way he could explain the earlier source of Rabbi Eliezer is by saying Mikzas Yom Kippur, but Rabbi Eliezer doesn't say it according to this source. So the Gemara now wants to see if this dispute between Bar Pada, who says the Stam Nazir is 29 days, and Rav Masna, who says the Stam Nazir is 30 days, if this is in fact connected to an earlier dispute amongst the Tanaim. Do they each have a precedent amongst the Tanaim for their ruling? Because we learned in a brisa that it says in Numbers chapter 6, verse 5, Kol yemei neder nizro tar lo yavor al rosho an melos hayamim asher yazir LaHashem. All the days of his Naziros, scissor or razor can't pass over his head until he completes the days until he completes the days of his Nazirus. What does that verse mean? That you're not allowed to get a haircut until you complete those days. Vishamani mio yamim shnayim. I might think that means that since what's the minimum number of days is 2. So I might think that the Torah is telling us that under these circumstances, that if you just say I'm a Nazirite, you have to be a minimum Nazir for 2 days. Tamomar kadoshi gadel para, that he shall be holy if he grows the hair on his head. And so a growth of a hair, even though you have a shave, you have a 5 o'clock shadow, but hair really ain't gidol seir pachos min shloshim. But really a haircut, that really means once every 30 days, like the numerical value of the word yiyah. And so that teaches us that an Nazirus is 30 days. That's position of Rabbi Oshaya. Whereas Rabbi Yonasan Omer Eino Tzarech, Rabbi Yonasan says, no, we don't need to say Kadosh Yeh. Haray Omer An Melosa Yamim. Until you complete the days. And what are days that are waiting to be filled? What are days that are waiting to be filled? Havi Omer Shloshim, that's a month, because a month is sometimes malay and sometimes chaser. A month is sometimes 30 days and sometimes 29 days. Why is a month sometimes Hebrew month sometimes 30, sometimes 29? Because really the lunar calendar is really a month. The moon cycle is 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 18 particles of a minute. So for that reason, sometimes we count the month as 29 days and sometimes it's 30 days. So that because we don't want to make a half a day. And so therefore, for this reason, the month is this term Amlos refers to a month. And so therefore that is a month. And sometimes it's 29 days and sometimes it is 30 days. So therefore, you're going to count the Nazirus on Melos until the days are filled, until the 30th day, meaning to say until 29 days until day 30. So the Gemara is saying, Malav Ramasna the Amar Rabbi Yosha. It must be Ramasna who says Kadoshi. He holds like Rabbi Yosha, who says that the Nazirus is 30 days, and Barpada says he holds like Rabbi Yonasan, who says 29 days on Melos. So the Gemara says, no, Ramasna would say, actually, even Rabbi Yonasan agrees with me. Rabbi Yonasan, you don't have a precedent for Barpada. He says, this source is not a precedent for Barpada. He says, even Rabbi Yonasan, who says, on Melos, he agrees with me. Everybody would say, you need 30 days. And really, what's going on here? Why does Rabbi Yoshai and Rabbi Yonasan have a different source? Because they're arguing about a different dispute. They're arguing about a dispute when you say until Sunday. If I write if you're writing a legal contract and you write, you can live in this house until Monday. Can you live in the house on Monday? Or is it until Monday? Is it Sunday night at midnight? Or is it through Monday? So that's what they're arguing about. What does it mean when you say until? What does it mean in American law when you say until? Right. So Rabbi Yoshaya says ad Melos until the Melos. He says that's not going to be approved because ad v'lo ad b'klal. He says I think that means 29 days, and so therefore I need the other source of Kadoshi. Rabbi Yonasan Savar and Rabbi Yona's son Savar, that it means, Rabbi Yona's son Savar, ad b'chlal. It means, until means, Malos means through day 30. So they both say you need 30 days. That's what our master say. It's not no precedent for Bar Pada. So the Gemara says, Amar Mar, why do you know that it says the days that you need to fulfill, that those are 30 days? Ema Shabbos maybe means the days they need to fill means 1 week. So therefore, maybe it means that you're going to be a Nazirite for 1 week, because the Shabbos is always complete. Gemara says, Shabbos miiko chasirusa. Shabbos, there's nothing missing. The week is always complete. It's always the 7th day. It's never like sometimes 29, sometimes 30. It's always 7 days. Gemara says, top of 7a. Maybe it refers to a year. Sometimes you have a leap month. So Gemara says, shana liyome. A year, it was top of 7a. A year you don't count by the days. You count it by the months. Gemara says, "V'Rabban the Kazar Yamim Minayin Shemon and Yamim Washanim." And this is proved by the rabbis of Caesarea. They said, "How do you know you don't count the days of the year?" As it states, "V'Chodshei Hashana Chodashim Mechashvin L'Shanim Lo Yamim L'Shanim." We count the months of the year. The way we count the year is by months and not by the days. Okay, so I'll take any questions now, but that's today's Daf Yomi. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to address.